The following is a rebroadcast of TV50's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. WNDS Sports and Tri-State Megabucks present Candlepin Stars and Strikes.
Oh, look at this. Look at it! He got it! Ready for a fair!
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is sponsored in part by Milwaukee Kent Toyota Dodge Nissan.
Looks good. Looks good. That's good to go. It's a
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is produced in conjunction with the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association. And now your hosts, Doug Brown and Dan Brodeur.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Championship Sunday here on the Winds of New England. I'm Doug Brown, along with Dan Murphy on Candlepin Stars and Strikes, and today is the day that we determine our final qualifier for the 1994 Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions, which will begin next weekend, and we've got 5 already. We need one more. We'll have them by the end of this hour.
Well, it's an awesome lineup, and either one of these bowlers is going to make it that much more difficult to win the Tournament of Champions ladder. It's loaded with talent.
All right, we've got lots to attend to, actually, this hour, so we'll get right to it. We'll introduce you to our 2 bowlers. First of all, our number 5 seed, looking for his 4th win in a row. He's come all the way up from the bottom from Plastow, New Hampshire, Dave Richards.
Okay, Dave comes in averaging 127, high triple of 468. The roll-off score is 652.
By the way, I didn't mean all the way from the bottom from Plastow, New Hampshire. That was not a continuous thought. That was 2 separate thoughts, all the way from the bottom and from Plastow, New Hampshire. So don't write cards from Plastow, okay? And Dave will be looking for his 4th win in a row after 400 last week to knock off Jack Sanick. And today he draws our number 1 seed from Bow, New Hampshire, Dan Brodeur.
And Brown is B-R-O-W-N, by the way. And Dan Brodeur comes in averaging 120, high single of 187, and his roll-off score, the top roll-off score in the roll-off at 694.
All right, now we also have $210 in the bonus ball contest. That comes up at the end of the hour. $500 to the runner-up, $1,000 to the winner today. The winner obviously automatically qualifies for the Tournament of Champions. We'll be talking about that a lot during this hour because the Tournament of Champions both begin next weekend. So stick around. We're going to have a lot of fun the next 60 minutes or so, and we'll get this match started. Dan Brodeur and Dave Richards right after this timeout. Number 1 and number 5 remain. Dave Richards is trying to become the first bowler since Neil Gosselin last season to win 4 matches in a row and get to the Tournament of Champions. Neil Gosselin was the only one to do it last year. So Dave is trying to duplicate that. Dan Brodeur, the number 1 seed, the challenger today. And here we go. They finished 42 pins apart in the roll-off, but that doesn't mean anything now.
Can't carry those with you.
Nope.
Clean slate. And we're underway. Dave leads by 4. And he'd take a 4-pin victory at this point. Well, this place will be jumping come Tournament of Champion time next week.
That's right. It all starts next weekend. Doubles Tournament of Champions begins this Saturday at 12 noon. Singles Tournament of Champions next Sunday at 12 noon for 5 weeks. And we hope you had some fun with our Candlepin Skins format, which ended yesterday. We certainly had a lot of fun with it, and we'd love to hear your comments about it, pro or con, and if we get a chance during the hour, we'll show you our address if you'd like to drop us a note. 2 9s. For Dave Richards. Well, this ladder dance seems to be featuring bowlers who, although they've been here a lot, haven't been here a lot lately in singles necessarily, and Dan Brodeur falls into that category. The last time Dan was with us in singles was back in November of '91 when he actually won 2 matches in a row, coming up from the number 4 seed, and then lost a tough one to Stu Bergman in the semifinals. He gets the spare in the first.
Little skip there, but Drops 8 on the spare, leaves himself the 6-9. All by the self. Clear shot at both of those pins, trying to make it 2 in a row. Oof.
Nope. Should Dan Brodeur win this match, he'd be making his first appearance in the Tournament of Champions. If Dave Richards should win it, he would become one of only 7 bowlers to make more than 1 appearance. Dave Richards was in the tournament 2 years ago. So this is the 6th year of the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions, and as of now, only 6 bowlers have gotten there more than once. Of course, one of them is Paul Berger, who's been in all 6.
The 3 and 7 left for Dave. Piece of wood in front of the 3-pin. Tried to. Now see there, the curtain actually hit the 7-pin. That would not have counted if it went down because he didn't hit anything playable. So it's a 9. Or would have been a 9.
Regardless.
Yes. Assuming he would knock the 3-pin down after he was upset about losing the 7-pin. And we go on and on. Ooh, that close to a spare.
And the 10 to break the string of 9 boxes. It's early 10-pin lead for Dan Brodeur. Dan and his wife Marlene, who've both been on the program, live in Bow. Dan works as a maintenance electrician for Concord Litho Company.
Right in the pocket. 5-7 to show. Pretty good effort there.
And the 10. Now on lane 31, going through the heart a little bit.
3-6, 4-7. Seen a lot of these leaves the last couple of weeks. Trying to split the 3 and the 6.
Nine. Still a 10-pin lead. A little bit later on in the hour, we'll remind you of the 5 bowlers who've already qualified for the Tournament of Champions. One thing we can tell you, next Sunday at noon, Mark Gregory will be one of the bowlers.
He'll be here.
We just don't know who will be bowling yet until this match is over. Dave Richards with his first mark. It's a strike in the 5th. Through the center.
And just 6 on the strike. Gives him 53 through 5.
We can already tell you who the matchup will be for Saturday. Saturday at noon, April the 23rd, for the first week of the Tri-State Megabucks Doubles Tournament of Champions. It will be our number 6 seeded team, Tom O'Brien and Wayne Denon, against our number 5 seeded team, Stan Mayo and Scott Richardson.
1, 2, 6, 10. Piece of wood in and behind the 1 and the 3. 1 and the 2 should help.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
It does.
Good spare for Dan.
Second mark for Dan, both being spares. You see, just splits the 1 and the 2. 57 and a ball to come. Eight-pin drop, 2 and the 5 left. Dan trying to make it 2 in a row. And he does.
Yes.
increases his lead to 14 plus the bonus ball when he comes back up for his 7th box.
Dave Richards with 3 wins in a row. His first week in this series, he threw a 345 with 8 marks. The second week, he threw a 359 with 11 marks. And then last week, he threw a 400 with 16 marks. So the trending has been upward each week.
71 now through 7.
Yes.
Converts to 136. No problem there for Dave.
His first spare to go with the strike. And now Dan Brodeur filling a spare.
And fill it he
Yes.
does.
All of them.
Scary moment there. Looked like the 7-10. Right there, and there goes the 10, and finally the 7. 3 in a row, strike on spare.
Just maybe a fraction heavy in the Brooklyn pocket. That the difference between this and what might have been a double strike.
He's just trying to forget the wood is there and just drive the ball straight through the 3 into the 6.
For the spare?
Just a little bit left.
Got
Enough
it.
to carry it, though. 4 in a row now for Dan Brodeur. 115 already in the 8th, plus the bonus ball coming. Dave Richards will fill his spare, and he's at 81.
Dave looking for another carry. He doesn't get it.
6, 7, 10.
This may all depend on the placement of the wood.
I would say you try to go after the 6-pin and catch a little bit of that wood and have that hopefully swing over and get the 7, but let's see.
Oh, good try.
Excellent try.
Good try. Tell by Dave's reaction that he knew it would be close.
Yes.
But he'll have to settle for the $9. So 97 with $1 to go in this game. Here it is.
Maybe he could have caught a little more of the wood, but that's an excellent try.
Well, I'm sure he thought, as we did, Dan, that if he hit it there, that the right side of the wood would spin back a little bit, but it didn't. It just kind of
Drifted across.
slid right across. Oh, what a great effort that is. Wow. Dave made a couple of terrific shots last week, and he has really been on during this run. 107 to start off this week.
It's the slowest start I believe he's had. Meanwhile, Dan Brodeur is already at 115, leading by 27 plus this ball. And on the head pin, he trips out the 4-7. 8-pin drop, 3-6 left, trying to make it 5 marks in a row and 6 marks for the game. And now he can still get by that piece of wood.
For the spare? Yes.
5 in a row, 133 plus the bonus ball in the 9th. A 36-pin advantage and threatening to go higher. Pull that one a little bit. Just 4.
Yep.
But it's going to be a fine opening game by Dan Brodeur. Just went by the head pin.
9 box. 146 for Dan Brodeur and a 39-pin lead after 1. This is the championship match. Last match of the regular season here on Stars and Strikes, and we'll be back in a minute. We had a good vibe about last week, but it just didn't happen.
Well, Dave blew it. He only knocked down 8. He was supposed to knock down 9. 3, 4, 6 for Dan Brodeur, trying to, as you can see, trying to coax that wood to roll up a little closer. Would help him jumping the 3-pin across. He's got a shot.
Yes.
He does.
Oh, great shot. Terrific shot for Dan Brodeur. That is his 7th mark in 11 boxes.
And there it did. Just kiss off that back piece of wood. Kept it in play for him to get the 4-pin.
One thing that's already determined is that of the 18 bowlers that will be in Tournament of Champions competition, the 12 in doubles and the 6 in singles, there'll be no one in both. So it'll be 18 separate bowlers. And again, an indication of how difficult it is to make it. There are not that many guys, only 6 guys to this point in 6 years who have been in the Tournament of Champions more than once. An 8 box for Dan after the 6 fill on the spare. So it will be our 6th singles Tournament of Champions and the 3rd go around for the doubles tournament. All brought to you by, of course, Tri-State Megabucks. Just imagine. You never know unless you play. Tri-State Megabucks.
And 9 box for Dave, so he drops 6 more to Dan Brodeur. Lead now is drops 7 more to Dan, which is lead now is 46.
Boy, Dave has had this shot a lot in the 4 weeks that he's been here. Converted it once.
That's the same side that he goes to most of the time, too.
Almost.
And that's close to making it again.
And the 10. Goes for the 3-6, and again, it's like clockwork. He cuts that 3-pin over into the 4 almost every time.
Actually, he's unlucky. I mean, you need something to come back. That's how that shot is made. It's very difficult to cut the 2 into the 3, obviously, because they're on the same plane. They're directly across from each other.
The 1, 2, 7, and 8 for Dan. The wood probably not a factor, and he didn't need it. How's that?
Well, his mission now is probably to tell himself to try to get 1 mark at least when he gets up every 2 boxes, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on Dave to double mark each time he gets up. Light hit, enough to carry 9, and he's got the 3-pin left and a piece of wood, a couple pieces. Actually, I think it might be frozen, or frozen against the 2nd piece that's laying against it. So
I think Dan's probably liking this setup. Yeah. For another spare. How's 9 marks in 14 boxes?
just to put everything in perspective, and Danny does this because I've known Danny for years, when he won this roll-off the day before.
Oh, big strike, Dave Richards. Maybe that will ignite the fire, as Dave has been looking for something to get himself started here. That's his second strike.
I'll finish that story in just a second. Looking for the
oh, look out, he's got it. Double strike. Dave really had an extreme amount of spin on that ball, it looked like, but it came right back in the 1-3 pocket for him. Well, this thing may change in a hurry when we come back and Dave Richards fills that double strike. Championship match, Candlepin Stars and Strikes. We've got more in a minute. Well, the battle is joined here.
Dan Brodeur working on a double spare, but Dave Richards working on a double strike.
Dan just slipping by. He'll take 6.
I started to say the day before Dan won this roll-off, came in as the number 1 seed, the top scorer in the roll-off. He bowled 5 games in another roll-off and hit 540. He comes back 24 hours later and hits 694.
Oh, he got robbed there.
So from one day to the next, you never know in this game.
That's right.
Vera nearly converted that tough spare leave. He gets the 9, and it's 68 at the halfway point. You'd say, well, it's not bad, 68. However, Dave Richards may be even more than that, depending on what he does in that double strike. Dan back on the head pin wants the 6 pin to go, but he'll be shooting at the 2, 4, and 6 with no wood.
Well, I'd give him a shot the way he's been bowling.
Yes, he's made a similar shot opposite side just a few boxes ago. Oh!
Almost. Almost.
Didn't split him. He was heavy on the 2 pin, but bounced the 4 pin off the wall and came back. Now, it's real early in this match to say this is a crucial ball, but at this point, being down this many, this is a big ball for Dave Richards.
First ball in a double strike counts triple.
You're right.
Oh, yes.
He got a big
look
break,
at that.
though.
Oh, my. Dave thought he might be able to steal the triple. He came very close.
I think his first thought might have been spread eagle, and then he saw them all falling, and then said, well, maybe I'll get another strike. And spare on strike. And he's at 78, and the lead is now 29 and falling.
Boy, if he had thrown a triple, that lead would have just about been gone.
Really. And leaves himself to 2, 4, 7. 7 more pins off the lead, so it's in the low 20s now. He's still opposite an open frame by Dan Brodeur.
Oh, yeah. 2 more marks for Dave Richards. Wow. A double strike followed by 2 spares. This thing is far from over.
You got that right. This is the way championship week should be.
And Dan Brodeur punches through the center.
We thought that 7 pin had a chance of falling forward. Let's see. He's been close to the cut shots most of the day. He made a couple, or made 1 anyways. Let's see what he does with the spread eagle.
And it'll be an 8. Next week, remember, the climax of our season here on the Winds of New England as we begin our 5-week-long Tournament of Champions series. Doubles starting on Saturday at noon, singles starting next Sunday at noon.
Dan's going to shoot at the diamond. 3, 5, 6, and 9.
Yes, for the spare.
Always a difficult spare with that sleeper in the back. We've said it time and time again. Watch how he keeps one of the pins in play. I think it might be the 3 pin. Yes, dances back for the 9.
That's a long way between the 3 and the 9 pin.
Dave Richards back in the pocket this time.
That was on a spare also. He is now at 102 through 6.
3, 6, 7. Piece of wood in front of the 7, also one behind the 3 and the 6.
Ooh, I thought he had it too.
So the storm is over temporarily anyways for Dan Brodeur. The streak for Dave Richards stops at 4.
It's a 9 box, 111. So what was a 46 pin lead after the first box of this game is now 14.
Double strikes have a tendency to do that.
Oh, look at this. Now a 9 pin drop leaving the 9 pin.
You can hear Dave stop. He sees the wood rolling out, and his ball breaks from right to left, so he's going to be breaking right into those 3 pieces of wood. And
you might want to play that front piece, right, to kind of keep everything
I think he's
straight.
The right-hand tip of that, he might want to just drive it all straight back.
Yep,
Yes.
there it is. Never even moved that piece in the middle.
Got by it. That's a nice spare there for Dave Richards. Dan Brodeur now working on a spare in the 8th.
Oh, my.
Good ball, though. Got 7 on the spare, but leaves himself the 5, the 8, and the 10.
Dan has not had a lot to shoot at in this second game, but he still has 4 marks. He's got 10 marks already in the match. Oh.
And it's 8, and it's a 111. With 1 box to go.
Well, again, something to think about. The match is very much in doubt, of course, but with Dave Richards' big game here in the second, both scores are going to be pretty good after 2. And there is a strike in the 10th for Dan Brodeur. So both of these scores are going to be pretty good totals after 2 games, which means we'll have to keep a close eye at the end on what happens with our seeding for the Tournament of Champions. Too early for the bowlers to think about.
Oh, there's a double for Dan.
It's not as valuable in the 10th as it is if you do it in the middle of the game, but Dan will still take it.
That's right. You can't pocket it and use it when you want to. You've got to take them when they come. I think the best part of this for Dan is that he had a big lead. It started to dwindle. He didn't panic. Threw a couple more marks up, and then now the double strike in the 10th.
131 plus this ball, and right through the center for 135. At least the good news is he doesn't have to shoot at the spread eagle.
And 281 for 2 games. And I think you started to allude to the scores.
That's right.
And of course, 370 and 375 are the 2 lower scores. That's on a spare now, spread eagle. And then it goes to 406, 421, and of course Joe Ashline's sitting at the top of 441.
Oh, did he do it? Oh, boy, he did it again. He cut that 3-pin.
He has got that 3-6 nailed down when he goes to split those 2 pins.
The 9 box. Now this is a big box here in the 10th for Dave Richards because he's opposite a double strike. Here it is again. That time he cut the 3-pin in front of the 4.
You're right. With the last box, he's trailing by 16, but he's facing 24 pins total in this final frame by Dan Brodeur. So, of course, he would like some kind of a mark, any kind of a mark.
Well, let's see what this setup is. It looks pretty good, but
if he's going to have a problem, I think the 7-pin is going to be the problem pin. Wood is tipped away from it. He's going high in the wood. That was a shot. Great shot there. There's part of it. So the lead could be as much or as little as 20 pins, but it could be 30, depending on the fill.
Big ball for Dave Richards, and he throws the big ball. That is an 8 fill, a 152 for Dave Richards, and a 2-game total of 259. So the lead for Dan Brodeur is 22 pins. Dave Richards cut it almost in half in Game 2, about probably what he was hoping to do. 1 game will decide it. We'll be back. All right. 1 game to decide the championship.
And we will keep you abreast of the scores as it progresses as well.
Dave Richards trails by 22, which, while not a great position to be in, is much better than 39, which is what he had after 1 game.
The 2, the 7, and the 8 sliding by the 2. So he'll be open in the first.
Each bowler with a double strike in Game 2. Well, I think we can safely predict that in week 1 of the Tournament of Champions next Sunday here, it will be Mark Gregory and John Potorsky, because the higher score of the two is 375, and with Dan Brodeur already at 281, that would seem to be a safe bet.
Especially the way he's bowling. 2 open frames for Dave Richards. Chance for Dan to put a mark or 2 up there and put some more distance between him and Dave. Pair of 9s, 18 now through 2. Final regular season game of the season. Sounds like we're in October.
Well, it's our World Series starting next weekend.
Yeah, but this isn't the World Series.
That's true. There's only one World Series.
That's right. Tough break there for Dan. The diamond plus the 7-pin.
I'm just happy we're talking about baseball at all again. I didn't think it would ever get here.
Well, Dan will be open in the first frame.
And he'll lose a pin and count.
So it's 21. And then there were 9 left for Dan and 8 for Dave Richards. Boxes, I mean. And again, in the pocket, and look at this, the 7, the 8, and the 10. Piece of wood now in front of the 7. He'll definitely use that.
Looked like he might have taken a little bit off that ball. It seemed to veer away as soon as it hit the head pin. It was very thin going through.
Ooh,
almost.
Very close. Well, he can get that pin back if he was to knock down this 10 pin for the 10 box.
Which he does. Well, in the situation that Dave Richards is in, he has to think that any time Dan goes open, that's an opportunity. And for this particular pair of boxes, it was an opportunity lost because Dave was not able to put anything up there.
So no harm, no foul. Both 18 after 2.
And Dave will have a spare leave here, the triangle.
Got to watch that wood. That wood may prevent him from carrying the 6-pin unless he's on the wood side.
Oh, hung on to that ball.
He really did. Squeeze that one a little tighter. Both bowlers feeling the pressure just a tad, I think. There's the situation I was talking about.
No, it may not have been there anyway. Yeah, I think you start to think a little bit right now.
You really do. Sometimes that's your worst enemy.
Oh, that was a nice looking ball, and what'll happen? The 10 pin goes.
I thought the 10 was going to stand up.
Well,
so a chance for Dave Richards to draw first blood in this 3rd and final game, championship week.
playing the wood, nothing fancy, gets the first mark in the 3rd game. That's his 9th mark overall in the match. Dan Brodeur has 12. Dan has marked 6 times in each of the first 2 games.
And he held on to that one a little bit, pulled it to the left. Still 6 pin standing. Oh, yeah. That's a big mark.
That is a big mark.
That's one you don't expect to make because of all the sleepers in the back, the 5 and the 9 pins, but he comes real light and the ball stays there to get the 5 pin.
And the big fill, dropping 9.
And now you have to watch that front piece. He wants to stay to the right if he can. I wouldn't trust that front piece of wood, the one that's just a little to the left. Uh-oh, he's going to get it. Ooh.
Got it.
You see what happened? The ball flew up and over those other 2.
2 marks in a row for Dan Brodeur. He has added to his lead here early in Game 3. The last 6 boxes will decide the championship. We'll be back in a minute. Well, Dave Richards is about to fill a spare left over from the 4th.
No room for error here. He knows what he has to do. He can't make any mistakes now going down the stretch. He's got to have big fills and more marks.
Well, there's a big fill and a mark all at the same time. That's even better.
Yes, he threw one double already. Just the replay just gets enough momentum to come back for that 3-pin. Light hit this time, and let's see.
Well, again, if not the strike, then the spare is important.
The 3, the 6, and the 8. Makeable spare. No, he's to the right. Just 8 fill on the strike, or just 8. That's a pretty good fill. But he would have liked the spare, as Doug said.
And it's an 8-box.
He actually was talking to himself that time as he threw that third ball. I think a lack of concentration there might have cost him a pin or two, that last ball. Dan Brodeur now working on a spare in the 4th.
$500 to the runner-up, $1,000 to the winner, and the winner moves on to the Tournament of Champions.
Likewise with Dan, wants the big fill, no mistakes. The fill is there, but the 7, 9, and 10, couple pieces of wood. Let's see where they settle down.
Well, the one on the right is set. The other one...
Yeah. You know, it's going to, well, it's rolling back. I mean, I would think right, the right piece of wood on the left-hand tip probably, but if the left-hand wood was to roll out a little deeper, I might try that, but I think he's going to have to go on the right wood, left-hand tip. There it is.
Oh. Did everything but make it.
So he's opposite of strike 8, so he's going to lose at least 8 in count.
So that leaves the lead at 21.
And he's opposite an open frame, as you can see, the 8-box there. Of course, he's thinking the same thing as Dave Richards. When he opens, Dan wants the mark. That one was behind himself. Half wish to right. 3 and 9.
And now...
Well, he's got a choice here. Does he go for the head pin and try to get 8 or 9? Does he grab 2 and kick to 7? And let's see. Oh, he's being daring. He went for the head pin. Just the 6, so he loses 2 in count. Lead now 19. That's 2 marks. 2 big marks. More than Dan with 4 boxes.
Again, just to mention the totals now. Again, it appears that the bottom 2, Mark Gregory and John Petorsky, will be passed. The next checkpoint after that is up at 406, and right now that would probably be on the bubble. Oh, big spare there for Dave Richards. How important is that shot? That's
very crisply done. Watch this. Bang.
Each bowler now has made the diamond in this show.
Which is a real difficult shot. Oh, he put a little extra on that.
All Dave can do is post the number and then see what Dan does as we move into the final 4 boxes here. For the spare, yes. Well, that's how to put the pressure on. Dave Richards with 3 wins in a row, and now he is trying once again to come from behind. Remember, 3 weeks ago in the first week of this series, Dave Richards trailed by 16 pins with 4 boxes to go. Today he trails by 19 with 4 boxes to go.
No break there for Dan. He got a rocking 5-pin. I can't think if that 5-pin didn't fall, he might take 9 or 10 with it. Well, it's got some light there because he has a piece of wood behind the 5, which will keep the 5 in play a little bit. So if he's flushing the 5, could jump it into the 9 or 10.
Let's see. Oh,
great effort. Great effort. These pins so very important. This to keep it in the, well, it'll be in double figures anyways. He gets the 10. Lead is now 11, and watch. Flew the 9-pin right in back of the 10. Spare up in the 8th for Dave Richards. Dan Brodeur leading by 11.
Oh my. Similar leave.
Well, he would like that to rest against the 5-pin, but turn at the same time. It's too deep right now. I have a feeling you're going to play the 5-pin in the wood, but I don't think it's going to make the shot. No, he's going on the other side. That was the shot because I don't think that wood would have carried it on the 5. So he'll be open. Well, Dave Richards still needs another mark to force Dan. And it's just a 9, so.
Well, if Dave Richards were to throw a strike on this fill, the match would be dead even with 2 boxes to go. That's how close it is right now. What a way to wrap up this series. An 8 fill. Dan Brodeur's lead is now 2.
4 and 7.
For his 3rd mark in a row?
Oh,
no.
Skip that. And that pin does not count. That might be a big one. He actually dropped that ball right in the foul line, hit the curtain. The curtain knocked the pin down, so that does not count. That'll be a 9.
9 box for Dave Richards. And he will take a moment to collect himself here before rolling in the 10th.
Now, I know a lot of you who follow the show week after week are thinking about a couple weeks ago. Remember, that same thing happened. However, a playable piece of wood or pin was hit first. Then anything can happen down there. 5 and 8.
Skipped it again, but that time it carried.
Now, depending on the fill, it would appear that Dan Brodeur is going to need at least 1 mark to win the match.
Wow.
What a final.
Final ball for Dave Richards. It's a big one. A 9 drop, a 137. He gets a handshake from Dan Brodeur, who will now try and step up and throw a score that will beat a 396. That's Dave Richards' total.
He's a 115 to tie. A 116 is a win. That's at least a mark and 7 and a 10 away.
So he needs 27 pins in 2 boxes. And
it's a strike!
I was just about to say that Dan needs exactly the same number of pins as John Plant needed 3 weeks ago.
That's right.
Same situation. But that is a big strike right there. 27 pins he needs. There's 5 on the fill. Now, remember.
I think this ball probably would determine win or lose right here.
Ooh.
Oh, he slid
boy.
by.
Well, now it comes down to this ball.
Yep, he needs this to tie.
Needs them all. And
he got it!
And we will go to overtime. We will bowl the 9th and 10th boxes again, and Dave Richards will be first. After a break, we will take a timeout and come back with the 9th and 10th boxes again. We will roll 2 boxes at a time until the tie is broken. We'll be back in a minute. All right, we are in overtime.
A fitting conclusion to the season right here.
Again, this will be bowled 2 boxes at a time as if it were the 9th and 10th boxes. So any marks in the 2nd box will be filled, and Dave Richards almost throws a strike. 396 to 396.
Just the 10 pin looking at Dave.
For the spare. Now, we should mention, for the purposes of the Tournament of Champions, 396 is the score.
That's correct.
So the winner of this match will be the 4th seed for the Tournament of Champions. On the spare, a 5 fill for Dave. How many times have we seen Dave Richards make or nearly miss shots like this?
Oh, boy.
All right, it's 25 pins for Dave Richards. And a near miss. So it's very simple.
26 pins. Simple as that.
You got 26 pins last time to tie it. So. And it'll be a spare leave for Dan on the 3 and the 6.
Piece of wood in front and one in the back. I don't like that one in the front. Oh, I do now. Well, it's all in his hands now.
That is the 16th mark of the match for Dan Brodeur. Dave Richards has 14. Could all come down to the fill. There is 6.
He needs
he
a
must
10.
Get all 10 to win.
Well, there's no choice here. He's got to play the wood and sweep everything from left to right for the win.
And that's it! The spare in the second overtime box. And that will do it. No need to fill that one. The overtime is over, and Dan Brodeur has won it. Actually, we do need to have Dan throw. Wait, we do need to have Dan throw a ball. We do need to have him throw a ball. I beg your pardon.
No, it's over.
Well, we should establish the final score at least in the overtime, but obviously the match has already been decided. Dan Brodeur with the 2 marks and then the 7 fill for a 33 to win the overtime, 33-25 over Dave Richards. What a terrific finish to this match. And we will be back to talk to the bowlers and try for our bonus ball contest, set you up for next week in a minute. Well, a well-deserved round of applause for both of these bowlers. A terrific match going overtime. First time in several years we've gone overtime here on Stars and Strikes. Dave Richards gets the runner-up check for $500. But hey, 3 wins in a row, a 396, a comeback from 39 pins down, in case everybody forgot. And really, you forced Dan to do something in the last box of regulation. He was able to do it, and then just a question of who outlasts the other, I suppose.
Well, that's it. You got to give Dan credit. I mean, I put the pressure on him in the regular match. He came back to that mark he needed. I opened up in the extra to that mark, and he came back. Somebody with that caliber bowler, he deserved it.
Well, again, terrific job, Dave, during this series. It's been a lot of fun watching you, and this was a terrific match and a tough one to lose, but a great match to end the series, and congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, Dave, thanks very much. And now Dan Brodeur for our bonus ball contest. Dan, over on lane 31, if you would, and $210. Plus a couple of brand new bowling balls on the line here if we get a match. And it's 6. Let's see, Mr. Murphy. What have you dug up for us? Not a match. Oh, you turn it over, it's a match. Yeah, it's a 9. The guess was 9 for Michelle Levine. Dan was trying to help you, Michelle, but it doesn't work. Sorry. From Methuen, Mass., we'll be sending Michelle a consolation prize, and for Dan Brodeur, we'll be handing him a $1,000 check. And, each of you had to make terrific comebacks in that match before it even went to overtime.
My hat's off to Dave. Had a good match last week and came right back at me. I was getting ready to try to find somebody to hit him in the shin. Couldn't find anybody. No takers.
Okay.
My hat's off to him.
We'll leave the obvious joke alone, I guess.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
And you're going to be back now. We've got Tournament of Champions starting next week, and in 2 weeks, you'll be here for the second match. Congratulations.
Thank you. It'll be fun.
All right. Thanks very much. 396, of course, is the official score to qualify into the Tournament of Champions for Dan Brodeur. And let's look at that Tournament of Champions ladder now before we send you away for the day. It's 6 bowlers, of course, 5 weeks, starting next Sunday here on Stars and Strikes. And we will have John Patorsky and Mark Gregory next Sunday at noon. Next Saturday at noon, we will begin our doubles Tournament of Champions. That will be Tom O'Brien and Wayne Denon against Stan Mayo and Scott Richardson. And there again, the look at the 6 bowlers who will move into the Tournament of Champions next week. Dan Brodeur is there. He's the number 4 seed. A terrific match, a great way to end the regular season.
I think they both should come back as a team. They both hit 396. Come back as a team. I put my money on them.
Okay. All right, we've got championship starting next week. Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions again for 5 weeks starting next weekend. So until Saturday at noon when we begin the doubles championship, and next Sunday here for the singles championship, for Dan Murphy and the whole Winds of New England crew, I'm Doug Brown. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for being with us.